Hi together. In today's video I want to talk about something that I always realize when I'm on vacation, and it's the control about money. And for the last few years I always thought that I was able to control my money, that I exactly know where my salary is going, where my other income is going to, and just on every vacation I realize how much I still have to learn. And exactly this video is about this topic, because maybe you can relate to that. When your first salary hits your bank account, you think, oh, I'm rich, or I have money, I can cover now all of my expenses. It's that feeling of relief that you have just for a few days, I think it lasts, and then suddenly an unforeseen payment or an unforeseen thing happens. Maybe you need a new washing machine or something like that. Just life, right? And in that exact moment you ask yourself, why always me? Why now? Because you think, well, in this month I finally wanted to fix my financial situation, and then this happened or that happened. Well, it may sound weird, but these events are not the problem. Your lack of financial system and knowledge is the problem, and once you realize this, you can work towards fixing that issue. And this video especially aims for those people who want to fix their financial situation but always fall short. And I can say now, more than 2 or 2.5 years I have control over my finances, but before that, although I had a good salary, I didn't really know where my money was going, and this is not a good place to be in. So simply said, when paying a yearly insurance, for example, becomes a problem for you, you know that you're doing something wrong. Because soon after that, your normal expenses of living like rent, electricity, phone bills and stuff like that go out of your bank account as well. And maybe in that month you have planned for a few months to meet a friend that you haven't seen for a long period of time, and you go out on dinner, and last time he paid for the bill and now it's your turn, and you don't want to let him down and you pay for it, and all of a sudden you're getting more and more into the debt spiral, and everything looks in that moment as a conspiracy against you, like someone has ordered your friend to meet with you in that exact month where you wanted to fix all of your financials, and yeah, you are just in a bad place. And the worst part then comes at the end of that month, where you wanted to fix all of your financial situation. You look at your bank statement and realize that it almost looks the same, and maybe even a bit worse. And when you ask yourself, where did my money go to? You have no real answer for that, because in your mind, you didn't buy a Rolex, you didn't go to Dubai for a fancy vacation, you did not something crazy with that money. It was just life draining out your money. And that's the problem most people have with personal finance. It's not one coffee, it's not one dinner, it's not one order from Amazon that you needed. It's just the unconscious spending and not having a type of budget for these type of expenses. And I will come to that later on in this video, how you can cluster actually your different types of expense, and then down the line plan strictly budgets for each cluster. That's what helped me a lot, because throughout my life I've talked to thousands of people in my professional life, in my private life, and also through this YouTube game with people who actually struggled with budgeting. And I realized one certain thing which all people had in common. It was they were lacking a cost breakdown system, not a budgeting system, because everyone can do a budget, right? Everyone can say, okay, for my cost of living I plan to have $2,000 a month. But that's not the solution. The solution is, in the first place, to break down costs in the right categories. And in this video I especially aim to do that. I want to enable you to build your own cost breakdown system which reflects your current personal financial situation. Because if I would give just generic advice, right, my individual situation might not reflect yours, and yours might not reflect his. So in this video I will just touch the theory, and with that theory you can just use a pen and paper and build your own cost breakdown system. But if you need more like a structured guide, like a sheet, like a balance sheet or stuff like that, let me know in the comment section down below, and I have so many different alternatives that I can share with you, and you can pick out of them which suits your individual situation best. Before we come to the actual system, it's important for you to understand how you compare against others, and that's why I handpicked some stats that I want to read out. So Eurostat reported that the household saving rate in the euro area fell to 14.4% in the fourth quarter of 2025 because consumption grew faster than disposable income. And the next stat is the OECD reported that the real household income per capita growth across the OECD slowed in 2025 compared to 2024. So this means that most people have less disposable income. And the last thing is the UK's Financial Conduct Authorities said 1 in 10 people have no cash savings at all, while another 21% have less than £1,000 available for an emergency. And this is also a shocking fact because we hear all the time net worth is $500,000, $300,000 in the median. But if you look at actual cash, how much power does people have in the UK? And the United Kingdom is one of the most developed countries in the world. Many people have less than £1,000. So 20% have less than £1,000 to cover for emergencies. And I think this stat is shocking, and this exactly shows you that you're not the only one, with including me, who is bad or was bad with money. There are a lot of people struggling like you and me. So we need a system to get out of this. And this video is not designed to blame politicians, inflation, or the government or stuff like that, because this would be too easy. And I do not believe that the surrounding of someone's life should dictate the success. So what we are going to do in this video is to look at exactly those spots where you have to take control back of your life to be in a slightly better financial situation. So the next time you get your salary, I want you to imagine this. You have $2,500 in income, let's say, or $3,500. Number does not matter as much as the system you're going to build around it. Yep. Just write down the amount of income you have each month. When you look at that number, it seems at first glance quite a lot, right? And most people look at this number subconsciously and think, oh, okay, everything of that is available. Of course, many of us know, well, I have a few cost positions here and there that will add up, but no one, or at least very few people, know the exact number which is going out from your bank account month by month. And each month is individual. As I said in the beginning, maybe there is a yearly insurance in that month yet that you need to pay down, or maybe you have an unforeseen circumstance that you must handle to secure your survival, right? And especially these moments are so crucial because these moments decide whether you go into the debt spiral or you go out. So basically, if you want to break down that message, is if all that money is sitting in one bank account, it makes you look in the first week much richer than you are, and in the last week much poorer than you are. And that's why personal finance feels so emotional, and every one of us has some emotions with money. The most common issue I had back in the day was when I bought something. I immediately thought, can I afford this? And I had most of the times no real answer for that. So I started guessing. Well, I guess when I have these type of expenses this month, then I could buy these pair of sneakers. But that's guessing. That's not real numbers. That's a feeling, and that's dangerous. And the issue is you guess everywhere. You guess at the supermarket. You guess if your friends ask you to go out, can I afford this? Or you guess when you order food because you're too tired to prepare for it, right? Like a simple DoorDash order, you're thinking, well, I'm so tired, let me order something, but can I afford this? Yeah, I guess so. I guess I can. And the first goal we have is to stop guessing. It's simple as that. You don't care about investing at the moment. You don't search for the perfect ETF. You stop watching random YouTube videos where some financial expert tells you to buy this coin or invest in physical gold at the moment. Just stay away from all of this noise. Just look at yourself, look at your bank statements, and stop guessing. So when we talk about bank statements, which steps should you take first? Well, you should first of all open up your bank account, look at your income, and then look at your cost for the last 3 months. I've been looking for the last 12 months, and I will come later to that why I did that. But for you at the moment, the last 3 months should give you at least an idea how your cost positions are are really tackling your income. And there's two bad news I have for you at the moment. The first bad news is you'll realize that probably over the last 3 months you were in debt a lot of times. And the second bad news is you realize that you have to put in a lot of work just to get it running. And if you put in that work, and this is where it gets annoying, usually if we work towards something, we get something out of it which maybe fulfills us. But in that situation, we are working on something to get bad news, right? We know that our financial situation is not that good. On top of the bad news, we have to work 2 days, 3 days to analyze our bank account just to get more bad news. And most people don't want to do that. So they just ignore that and they think, okay, when I don't know it even, then I shouldn't even care. And to be honest with you here, when I told you just a few seconds ago that I was looking at the last year of my spendings and I told you to look only at the last 3 months, do you know where I did that? Because I started with the last 3 months as well. And just when I realized the last 3 months, every month I was in debt, I was curious. I thought, well, I didn't feel so bad throughout the whole year. So my goal was then to check everything for the past 12 months. And I put in the work and realized every month over the past year, I was in debt. I had no positive month. And this was shocking. And to be quite fair with you, it was not that I was surprised by my rent, by my electricity bill, by my phone bill and stuff like that. It was that unforeseen cost and these unconscious spendings I had throughout the day that looks small at first, but when you add everything up, it had such a huge position in my balance that I really understood what the benefits of analyzing these details are. So I can recommend some cost categories how you should start your analysis from my point of view. And the first category is the cost of living. And it's important that in this category I exclude groceries. Groceries for me is a separate category in that logic. Then I have another category called eating out, subscriptions, and a category called random. Because when I analyzed my bank statement, I realized that these categories were consuming most of my money. And every cost position I could at least relate to one of these categories. But with the random category, it sounds too simple to be true, but it's like some collector which is collecting weird cost positions and spendings you had throughout the month. But this is powerful because down the line, when you have a cost position called random, you have that category, and now you track it for the next 3 months, you can exactly see what types of costs are recurring in the random cost category. In my example, it was that on my way to work, I always stopped at a bakery. I bought a coffee, I bought something to eat, and spent around $10 to $15 each day. $10 to $15 doesn't sound much, but I go to work every day. So 5 times a week, right? It's $75 if we calculate from $15. And if we time that up by 4, we have $300 just stopping out of convenience at a bakery. And when I found that out, I was able to pull out the cost positions from the random category to a newly created category, which I consciously named in the most absurd way, bakery stop daily on the way to work. I did that just to show one thing, because when I looked at this cost position, bakery stop daily on the way to work, and it's $350 a month, I would just think to myself, are you totally dumb? Why are you doing this? So by naming out these categories in the most absurd way, it helped me to reduce my spendings over there. And that's especially the power of that random category, because it's exactly there where all the emotional spendings hide. And if you analyze the random category down the line with more intensity than the other categories, because the other categories are clear, right? Cost of living, you have the same rent every month, you have the same electricity bill and stuff like that. So they are not changing changing that much, but the random category is changing rapidly. And by just creating like a pool, a cost pool for random spendings and dividing it into smaller packages, you'll be able to take back control. So at the end of the day, most commonly you're not drained by one huge financial mistake. Probably your bank account is getting drained by all the small financial costs related to random spending habits. That could be a painful realization for you that the lifestyle you're living at the moment is not something you can afford, but it will help you to design a system around it. And this is exactly where our system starts now, because most of the people have just one bank account and they are trying to manage everything, the checkings, the savings, everything from one balance. And from my point of view, this is not the right approach, because opening up a complete new bank account is not much of a work, right? And I can recommend you this. Open up a new bank account where your salary comes in, and then exactly subtract that amount that's needed for those different categories you identified, like cost of living, groceries, to another bank account we can call survival money, because it's not for anything else, it's just for survival. After you've done the first split, you can think about another split, the second split, maybe opening up a second bank account. And this level we call protection. The protection bank account is what makes your life less scary, because when you need a new washing machine or your car needs a repair, then if you have a protection bank account with money in it to fund, especially for these type of situations, then your life feels less scary. Yes, you still have the problem, but it doesn't mean financial disaster. And yes, a broken phone is annoying even if you have savings, but it doesn't mean necessarily debt, because when you have nothing, you have maybe to take up a small loan to fix it. So your first target you must aim for is not to become wealthy, you have to aim to become less fragile. Maybe this means having just $500 sitting in your bank account as a safety net at first. Maybe down the line you will be able to get to $1,000, and just a few months in you maybe have a few months of expenses, and maybe just 6 or 7 months in you have covered 1 month of expenses, and maybe years after that you'll have an emergency fund which covers 3 months of expenses. And after you've done that, only then you can focus on the next step, which is called the future category. This is where debt repayment and investing belong. And in this section I want to be very clear, because most people make personal finance more complicated than it is. The number one enemy for every bank account is debt. It's not because that investing is less important, it's because with debt, especially with high interest debt, it's like putting an air into a broken tire. So the next thing I want you to do is to list up your debt, not emotionally, just with numbers, and next to it with interest rates. Then you look at your listed debt positions and decide for a debt repayment method. If you want to understand the different methods how to repay debt strategically, watch this video over here, because I cover there like avalanche method, snowball method, and all of this. But basically, and I'm trying to explain it the most simple way, you decide whether you want to repay the debt with the highest interest rates, or you want to repay, for example, the debt with the highest amount or the lowest amount, depending on your financial situation and on your financial likings. Once you see your debt in full transparency, it stops becoming that dark cloud over your head, and it feels like a project that you need to tackle. And you can think at the moment, well, this means that I have to be good in maths or something like that. But repaying debt is not about maths, it's about organizing. And only when debt is under control, then you can think of investing. So the best and boring way, everyone knows that, is to invest in a broad ETF. It's a monthly savings plan, automatic execution on a specific day, and the market is handling the rest for you. You don't have to handpick stocks, you don't have to read the news, you don't have to check on a specific stock at midnight or look at some coin prices throughout the morning. None of that. You just invest in a broad ETF. And now, without you noticing, we've built 3 layers. The first layer is survival, the second is protection, and the third is future. So first you secure the survival, then you start to protect your survival, and then you're building your future. And only after these 3 layers are covered, you're going to decide what's free to spend. So you have like a budget, rest for fun. And with that, fun is not forbidden, but it has clear boundaries. And if that account has money, you can spend it without feeling bad. But if the account is empty, then there is no room for discussion. Then you have no money to spend. And this is exactly how you get rid of the question, can I afford this? And you get to a more structured view of your whole financial situation. And you stop guessing when you're going to buy some sneakers or you're going out with your friends for a fancy dinner. You stop guessing, can I afford this? Well, my fuel in my car is on half, so if I drive just 20 miles, then I would be fine. All of these calculations become nonsense. So if you're interested in the sheets I mentioned at the beginning, just let me know in the comment section down below. Or if you want a mobile app to calculate also your cost positions, let me know as well. And I'm pretty curious, what was your most challenging financial situation and decision you've made over the past 3 months? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I see you in the next one. Bye.